over the years. It's none other than Shameel Joosub, a legend in the industry, Chief Executive Officer of Vodacom. Hello, Shameel. It's great to see you again. How have you been?
Hi, good, and you, Aki?
Good stuff, man. As the year started off with a bang, have you been busy? How are things going at Vodacom? Are you optimistic? It's going to be an interesting year for all of us. Hey, lots of elections. We've got our own elections, lots of stuff happening globally. So are you feeling optimistic about the future of the continent?
Yeah, so, it's been, the year started with a bomb as usual, Aki. A couple of big milestones that we've achieved, of course, having achieved 200 million customers across the continent has been quite a big milestone for us, and certainly something that we've been striving for a while. And then of course 75 million financial service customers across the continent, and they're now processing.
Shameel, before you go on, I just want to focus on that 200 million customer milestone, because that's absolutely massive. You consider the population of the continent, that's almost 20% of the population of the continent that are subscribers to the Vodacom group. It's quite extraordinary. Do you have to pinch yourself when you look at that number and you say, wow, we've achieved something incredible?
No, it is, when we started the company, we wanted to connect 800,000 customers in 10 years. So, it was, it's basically being able to achieve this milestone is quite a big year. As we enter our 30th year of operations, I think it's quite a big, as you say, quite pleasing in terms of the number itself. And really for us, being able to connect so many people and make a meaningful difference to these countries and to the people is really a big deal. And one of the big parts was, but and actually by now my style. Some people call me a glass half full type guy, which essentially, and glass half full from the perspective of, okay, we've done 200 million customers, but only 110 million of them have a smartphone. We have 90 million people who don't have a smartphone. So guys, we need to now close that and make it possible for everybody to own a smartphone. So that's now driving a lot of innovation and thinking, both in sourcing of devices. Last night I was reviewing with the guys a new cloud-based phone that we will be bringing to market that substantially reduces the cost of a 4G device. So that becomes really exciting in terms of what we're doing, but also things like asset financing, rural coverage, satellites. So it's all designed to connect more people and bring more people. So our big goal is everyone must have access to the internet. So I think that's what's driving us. And so that's very pleasing. And then of course on the fintech side, how do we get more people? Only 75 million of the 200 million customers are using a fintech service. They're processing $400 billion of transactions annually now.
Wow.
To put into perspective, that's close to 8 trillion of transactions a year. So it's big numbers, but I'm looking at it, guys, it's 75 versus 200. There's 125 million people that are not using our fintech services. So and the populations in the market where we operate is 500 million. So there's a lot of opportunity still, and I think we've got to do a lot more. And then of course with IoT again,
yes,
a whole set of opportunities, and we built the platforms to be able to make a difference. So the other thing that's pleasing is just how we brought purpose to bear, and how we made a difference in people's lives.
Well, congratulations, Shameel. It's quite extraordinary to think that you've got 200 million customers, and that's in just 8 markets, and I'm sure that's going to expand in the near future. But Vodacom has been a leader in innovation. As long as I've known you, you've been pushing that innovation envelope, and this incredible growth that you've achieved in the telecom sector. I remember sitting with you in Barcelona many, many years ago when we were talking about LTE, never mind 5G and that sort of thing, and you weren't sharing information with me. I was trying to get the information out with you. And even when 5G was around the corner, you weren't sharing. But over the years, it's been incredible the amount of money that Vodacom has spent on its network, where you are with 5G. And what are those key strategies that you believe have contributed most to Vodacom's success over the years?
Well, I think, basically, I think adopting technologies and being at the forefront of new technology has always been key to us. So, launching in South Africa, as an example, being first to launch every one of the technologies is being very important for us, and being able to achieve that. I think was you'll remember in 2012 with the 4G part, and the launch that we had, here at the world, and I think you were chairing the my
That's
broadband
right.
phone launched that. So I think it's being at the forefront of their technologies. On the one side, what Vodafone trying to shape the technologies before they come out, and two is how you adopt those technologies, how you make it successful. So I think that's worked well for us, making sure you've got the right spectrum, and so on is also key in our industry, if you're going to fully utilize the technologies. But then creating the right product offerings, I think, is key as well. And as these new technologies come out, they're also more efficient type technologies that that it brings. So it also opens up new opportunities, and so being able to provide those new and being part of those new opportunities, I think, is key if we really want to grow the business going forward.
Look, I know that many of the grey hairs that you have at the moment, you mentioned the word spectrum. I'm sure many of those are responsible for a lot of those grey hairs. So the spectrum issue has been a positive one for you over the last 24 months. Do you still need more spectrum? Have you got enough spectrum? Is it something that's an ongoing process going forward?
Well, look, I think we have enough spectrum for 5G, but there'll be 6G, and 7G. Maybe we won't see it in our lifetimes, Aki, but it will come. So, but it's the technology will keep evolving, and you have to
Yes.
evolve the technology. We've seen over the years, you've seen many operators not adopt the new technologies and actually die in the process. So I think it's imperative, and I think that's true of any business. You have to
Yeah.
make sure you're embracing the new technology. So yes, we will need more spectrum. Also, I think the regulatory environment is changing. I think you're seeing it in Europe, you're seeing it in the States, where also regulators are starting to understand that fragmentation of the industry doesn't really help, especially with spectrum. And
Mm,
so,
mm.
there's a number of lessons learned that regulators in Africa get the opportunity to have seen the movie and have to basically say, well, if this is the movie, this is how it plays out. How can we make sure that we don't fall into the same trap, so to speak?
Yeah, yeah. So 2024 is going to be an interesting year, as I mentioned earlier. What are your top priorities at Vodacom, and how do you envision these initiatives impacting your customers during the year?
I think the first priority for us, of course, is the massive deal, and because we see this as changing and helping to really change South Africa and being able to bring more fiber to homes and into rural areas and so on. So the competition commission's stance of this has been disappointing. We hope that the and this is after we negotiated with the GTI in terms of public interest and so on, and all from investments to creating 10,000 jobs to covering 1 million rural homes, and that's just in the short term and so on. So we're very hopeful that the tribunal will see the pro competitive benefits of the deal, and allow the deal to proceed, and then that will allow us to, with CIVH, be able to contribute meaningfully to this fiber space in the country. Because let's be honest, as I put it internally, we're Mickey Mouse in the space, meaning we're very small. So that's the one side. And then, of course, the second priority is fiber in all our countries and essentially building fiber. So we do see fiber to the site as a way to share infrastructure with competition, but also fiber to also will drive better 4G, 5G growth going forward. So you'll have to have
Yes.
fiber as a backwall if you really want to offer a proper 5G speed and service. So
Right.
that's the one side, and fiber to the home and satellite, but all forms of connectivity. So that's the first part. The second priority is rural coverage in most of our markets. And what we've decided to do with these things is also bring on partners and work. That's what we're trying to do with Massive or in South Africa. But we also in discussions with them to do it in a few more countries. So I think that's important for us in terms of rollout. And then the next big priority is, of course, making sure that we can bridge the smartphone part and taking this 90 million challenge and making a big dent in it in terms of being able to progress with cheaper devices, local assembly, handset financing. And we have a number of different programs that we want to scale to make it more affordable for people to have access to the internet and to a smartphone. So I think, that's another big priority for us. And then, of course, our fintech platforms, growing them, basically making sure that the financial inclusion benefits that come from it, accelerating the amount of merchants that we have. We've now just launched a very exciting part, and maybe the team will show you that, what we call, tap on phone, where effectively you can change your cell phone into a payment device. And so, those are some of the new innovations that we're driving. And so, I think that's imperative on us to be able to do it. And then, of course, in South Africa, really managing the load shedding environment and the security parts on the sites and these type of things is a big priority for us, because it is, driving up costs a lot. So it's something that we're managing, looking to share with our competitors and so on. But, also navigating that with our virtual wheeling agreements and so on, so that we can try and help on the one side and try and contribute to alleviating the problem. And then on the other side, making sure that we have the network availability and so on. And that has stood us in good stead over the last couple of years, having outpaced our competition in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely fascinating. It's so interesting to listen to your strategy. I mean, fiber playing a big role, and of course the fintech. And it's extraordinary when you think about it today, Shameel. And you've been in the business for a long time. To think that today, I never take my wallet with me anymore. Just my phone is my wallet. It's my main communication. I mean, everything is on that device and it's connected somewhere. It's extraordinary to think of how many things it's replacing in our day-to-day lives. I mean, you mentioned energy and you mentioned sustainability, and it's such a big focus globally, right? Even at Davos this year, and you'd look at world leaders, and every single business is setting their ESG targets and how important it is. And in fact, this morning I was just looking at some of the breaking news that this year is going to be the warmest year we've ever had on this planet. An increase of 1.5 degrees is what we on target. What we've gone into this next year, 1.5 degrees hotter than ever in previous years. So that's obviously a big concern. You guys have been and are continuing to make significant strides in sustainability with your virtual wheeling agreement that you got with Eskom, for example. It's top of the mind at Vodacom. Now, tell us about this project. How is this project going with Eskom?
Yeah, so we basically now finalizing. We should be within 12 months be able to see some of the benefits of the virtual wheeling agreement come through. Of course, we want to prove to Eskom that the project works. It will cater for about 25% of our power initially. We want to take it to 100%. And the concept is that we sign up with the IPPs, so Eskom and government doesn't have to expose its balance sheet. We then supply the power to Eskom and it passes us credits. So, we think that corporate South Africa could follow suit. The interesting thing with these things, like, is when you're having the conversation, like, one of the big issues was, how do you do the recons? How do you manage this whole thing? So, instead of letting that delay the project, we went and wrote the platform. So now we have a virtual wheeling platform that, we built our company called Mezzanine, and that effectively can be used both locally and globally. So,
Okay.
so like that, we're building many platforms. I call it tech for good. And we're very proud of the platforms and the meaningful difference that those platforms are making across the continent. So our M-Mama platform, where we're getting pregnant mothers to the hospital in time so you don't have prolonged labor, to our farming platforms, where we have over 5 million farmers across the platform, and we're ensuring a better product yield on the one side, but also giving them access to financing and so on, to our IoT platforms and how that's making a difference. So there's a multitude of different platforms, to our fintech platforms, and how that's, helping different constituents and so on. We've just created this whole group savings products, that we've launched in multiple markets that are picking up quite nicely. So, there's a lot of innovation and driving that innovation all the time, but really with purpose at the heart of it is contributing to our ESG focus, but also, making a meaningful difference in society.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's going to be an interesting year, as I mentioned earlier. What are those major changes that you foresee in the telecom space for the upcoming year? And how is Vodacom positioning itself to lead or adapt to these trends? And how do we compare globally? I know that you at some stage of your career, you were in Europe managing networks over there. I'm sure that we compare very highly with global networks. But what are the changes that you foresee in the telecom space in this coming year, 2024?
Yeah, so, for me, the big part is, of course, so firstly, comparatively wise, compared to Europe and the US, we've always compared very favorably. I think our networks stand out as being among the best in the world. So I don't think as South Africans we ever have to worry about the fact that we do. I think what this new year will bring is really twofold. If we're looking at the South African environment, but also for us and other telcos, I think so first is more rollout of 5G. I think that's key. I think fiber rollout will also play a key part. I think innovative models of how you take fiber to rural areas and so on, I think is going to be key as well. So I think those will be the major big moves from a telco perspective. But on the other side, I think navigating currencies, navigating things like load shedding and so on, navigating inflation, and so on, is also going to become a big part for us. But also, navigating some of the global pressures, that are there, resulting from the wars that are going on, and the impact that's having on supply chains. I think will also play out. So you've got various dynamics that you're managing. On the one side, you're managing innovation, you're managing growth, to get more smartphones into people's hands. On the other side, you're managing things that the macro is affecting. And as you
Yes.
say, things like climate change is affecting. So it's always this part of being able to manage both sides. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah. And Shameel, I mean, you're currently operating in 8 regions. 200 million people is what Vodacom is servicing. Can we expect to see more acquisitions this year, adding more regions? I don't know if it's something that you can talk about, but I'm sure that growth is part of your trajectory. You've made it very clear you're an ambitious business person. Can we expect to see more acquisitions this year?
No, is the firm answer. So I think we're not looking to acquire. I think we're looking to grow our footprint in fiber. So I think more partnerships will be the order of the day. And I mean, the way we're seeing the massive one is partnering, to grow fiber in the country. And so I think partnerships will be the order of the day. I think we've got a lot on our plate, to be honest. Ethiopia, is a new environment. We've got a lot of investment that needs to happen into that market to be able to be on par with the competition in terms of site builds and so on and so on. So, that's keeping us busy. And then the fiber rollouts and the rural coverage rollouts will keep us busy for the year. So no plans to expand, for this year, for the foreseeable future, but rather to bed down and grow our fintech, grow our fiber, grow our rural coverage, and most importantly, deal with the issue of making sure that everybody has access to the internet.
Fantastic. And dare I ask a quick question about 6G that you mentioned earlier? I know, 6G is in the future, but is it something that's on your radar? Are you talking about it? Are you testing it possibly? How far are we from getting 6G? Well, we don't even know what 6G looks like. We have an idea, but are we close to 6G or not? And how soon?
Not, yeah, I think not yet. I think, of course, the discussions are going on in terms of, and through Vodafone, we have a lot of engagements in these new technologies, and have always played a big role. So I think it's in early conceptual stages at this stage.
Yes.
And so, nothing concrete. I think, to be honest, the business case of 5G still has to materialize completely. And so, that's probably the bigger focus for now. But of course, you have to start looking ahead. So I think that will come. And I think satellite will see more in the future as well.
Fantastic. Shameel, I love talking to you. You've got such incredible insights. Thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate it. And wishing you all the best for 2024. I have no doubt that you're going to take Vodacom to brand new heights. Shameel Joosub, the Chief Executive Officer at Vodacom, joining us for this episode of What's Next. Shameel, thank you for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you, Aki. Thank you for having me on the show.